I guess you could say this is day number 3 of our build, our box truck build here in the desert, in the Arizona desert. In our previous video, you saw that we got our solar panels and our max air fan installed. In this video, we are going to be doing the flooring and perhaps a few other things along the way as well. So the box truck, when we bought it, it actually came with oak hardwood floors installed, but the problem with it is that there's little cracks in between every 4 or 5 boards or so, and that's to allow for expansion. It is a landscaping type truck, so the idea is you drive your equipment up on the ramp inside the box and then back it out, and the floor is pretty hardy so that it can support the weight and the wear and tear and all the elements and stuff. But we don't want to use it as such, obviously, so we've got to find a solution in order to make the floor usable. We don't want those cracks in there, and what we have come up with is we are going to seal those cracks with epoxy. So we got Luke vacuuming earlier this morning. He did a fantastic job. Kurt's inside the box now laying down a bead of caulk along the outer edges of the floor so that when we pour our epoxy, it doesn't run out everywhere. We've got to have something that'll kind of barricade that liquid in there. So let's go check it out. So Kurt has finished pouring the initial layer of epoxy down in the cracks between each floorboard, and we think it's solidified. It sat overnight for the past 2 nights, and now we're going to try something kind of special. We have some spray paint and epoxy, and we're going to mix that up to add a little bit of color in between the cracks of the floorboards and where the nail holes are. So we're hoping that this is going to add a little bit of sparkle and stand out really nice against the darker stain that we have for the floor. It's going to be a little laborious and a bit tedious just pouring it and trying to make sure that it stays in the cracks. Now the challenge when mixing this epoxy is we don't exactly know what the color is going to look like when it comes out or when it dries. We don't really have a recipe for how much to add. It's kind of like whatever is appeasing to your eye. We're kind of just guesstimating here, but we only have so much epoxy to work with, so we'll see. Yeah, hopefully it turns out okay. Phew, all right, so we got the floor done, first pour, got all the nooks and crannies and some of the screw holes that at least will be visible. That was nerve-wracking. Didn't get a whole lot of filming done because this is very time sensitive. From the minute you start to mix the epoxy, that chemical reaction takes place and it starts to heat up, and then we actually wasted almost a half a cup of pour because we just took too long and it started to harden and got tacky, so had to start all over, put the camera down. But the hard part is done. I'm not sure if the color came out the way I wanted to until it dries, but the cool thing about the epoxy is if you mess up, you kind of just sand and re-pour. All right, welcome to day 2 of the epoxy pour. So yesterday we poured the first coat basically of the epoxy that was mixed with some spray paint. It had a little bit of white and gold in there, and we let it sit overnight, and we woke up this morning and it looked like everything cured pretty good. It still looks kind of like a hot mess in here, but the idea is to sand it down and we will stain the wood a darker stain, and then we'll seal it all. We're only going to stain the part that you can actually see. We're not going to mess with the wood floor that's underneath, like cabinets or the bed or whatnot, to save us a little bit of time. Time is kind of the essence right now with our current setup. Oh, also, so earlier this morning we got in a big shipment. We got our wool for insulation. Yay, we're going with Havelock wool. Love them. If you guys have never heard of Havelock wool, you need to catch them on their website. I'll put a link down in the description below. And as a matter of fact, if you use our link, we'll get a small portion of that purchase. It's no added cost to you. Would really appreciate a little support. That's a nice way to help support our channel if you enjoy what we do. So go check them out, Havelock wool. wool. It's all natural, no VOC, it's fire retardant. We have it in the van all over, fully insulated in the walls and the floor and the ceiling, and it's moisture wicking. It's actually bug repelling too, so it's just all around a good product. I cannot complain one bit, and I fully support the use of that product. So go check them out. We also got our water reservoir. Check this thing out. This baby is an 81-gallon water reservoir. This was from recpro.com. It's a BPA-free water reservoir, and it's actually our second one that we had delivered. The first one we received in a damaged condition, so we ended up having to get a second one shipped. Thankfully, they rectified the situation, sent us a new one, no charge to us, so thank you, RecPro. Great customer service, appreciate it. And Kurt made a run to Home Depot, so we got a ton of lumber. We need that because as soon as the epoxy in the floor is done, we're going to get started on the bed framing and that whole wall on the backside.
All right, so we're finally starting to frame. The floor is still very rough. I wanted to get some framing going, so we sealed this back section here that's under the bed, because I really want to see exactly how much room and how all this is going to line up. And so we've already had to move the bed out an extra inch than what we were thinking. Just wanted to get into this so I can get my mechanicals back here going, figure out the water tank, exactly where that's going. But it's moving right along.
So we've recruited a little bit more help today. Wave hi, John. Our buddy John is back there. Again, he's got some height on him, so it also helps with reaching hard to reach places. Right now, him and Kurt are kind of framing out our bed area, and I am supervising and filming. Any case, we're super grateful to have you, John. Thank you so much for your help.
Gonna be. See, this is what I gotta figure out, John. So this is what I gotta figure. I gotta figure this out, what I'm gonna use for materials.
Seen trouble like that. I always get this flashback of Married with Children.
So for the arrangements on the beds, what we have come up with is Kurt and I will be sleeping on the bottom. We've measured out to fit a full-size queen mattress in there. Above us will be one boy. It'll be about a half the size of the queen, and then we're gonna put the other bed on top of that one. So they'll essentially have bunks, and Kurt and I will be down on the bottom. We gave the boys the option to either have their own space and maybe not be able to sit all the way up, or have a shared bed essentially with the curtain down the middle, but be able to sit up in it. And they both chose to have their own space. So they're getting older, and I think both of them are starting to value their alone time and not being bothered by one or the other. So I think we're gonna make it work. It might be tight for them, but they're kids, they're adaptable, and I think they're both truly excited about having like real bunk beds.
All right, another good day here on the box truck. We got the bed. This is gonna be a queen size bed on the bottom. We got the boys' bed, some of it started. We got bed number 2 and bed number 3. So I had to pick up a couple more parts from the supply house, which, as you know, if you're building these things out, you're running back and forth to Lowe's or Home Depot. So we got everything, so tomorrow we're gonna finish building this out.
Part of the downfall of doing this in the desert is the fact that we have to pack and unpack the box just about every day. You know, we've got some tools and equipment and supplies and whatnot that we just don't feel completely comfortable leaving out here, although it's been very peaceful, quiet. We haven't had any issues. We just don't want to take any chances. You know, we pay a good dollar for some of these things. So just trying to take care of our stuff and take precautions. So that's where we're at right now, cleaning up for the day. This is only going to be short-lived, however, because we have found a home to rent for the next month and a half after we sell the van. And we're going to be moving into that home here very shortly. We had about another week out here in the desert, and then hopefully we won't have to worry about taking stuff in and out every day. We don't really have many options right now, so here we are, another day down.
And then I wanted... Darn it, Logan, you messed me up.
Not right now. I'm probably going to extend it all the way to the back because these are going to be steps going.
Oh,
I'm trying to finish, you know, this 10 inches wide. I'm going to put.
Right, and wherever you put your phones, you need to have an outlet so that you can.
Yeah, so all the power's going to be right here.
That's right.
So I'm going to just
right.
pop it
Then you
right
gotta-
in the corner.
Yeah,
Done, brother.
yeah.
Piece of cake.
It's all good stuff. It's all cool stuff. That's when all my fun starts. Blast out here when I want it. Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Alright, it's been a crazy few days getting all this electrical stuff set up, but this is one of my favorite parts of this build because I'm a licensed electrician. So this is definitely my forte. This stuff's fun to do. It looks a little complicated up here, but it's actually pretty simple. Alright, so we have our grow watt system here mostly installed. We got a few things we still have to button up. But I want to give a big thanks to Signature Solar for these products and to back them up and have the warranty, being a dealer here in the United States for Grow Watt. So here we have the 5000 ES, which is a 240 volt inverter charger, and it has a solar charge controller built in as well. And this box over here is an auto transformer. This makes the 240 into two legs of 120. So you can, you know, turn on a light or turn on your induction cooktop, things like that. So below the inverter is the 120 volt electrical panel. And then below the auto transformer, we have the DC panel. And above those, we have two converters, so it's going from 48 volt down to 12 volt, so we can run like 12 volt lights. We went with two batteries. For now, we have the room to expand, but we got 48 volt batteries. They're 100 amp hours per battery, and we have two of those. So you're probably wondering why we went with this type of system. The reason we went 48 volt, went with a system like this, is it's residential, which means cost, okay, number one. So they sell a lot of these units because this is something that would go in a off-grid cabin or in your home to help offset being on the grid. Another benefit with this is saving money on wire size. So as you go up in voltage, you're able to use a smaller wire. And this is 2022. Inflation, everything's expensive. So if I can use a smaller wire, saves big time. Plus this Grow Watt is a charger, inverter, and MPPT. So we have 1850 watts of solar going into this. It's all in one unit. Or if I want a Victron, I'd have to buy the Victron, and I'd have to buy the solar charge controller on top of that. It's pretty clean, less components. So yeah, more residential, better cost savings, more efficient, to name a few reasons. Alright, so here's a prime example of going with a smaller wire in this system. So I had a scrap piece of wire here this would be the same wire that I would use to connect from the batteries, 12 volt batteries in the van, to a 3000 watt Victron. This is a 5000 watt Grow Watt. These are 48 volt batteries. So you can see this wire is hooked from the batteries up to the inverter. And then, like I said, I had a scrap piece, so I went ahead and just used this for a ground loop here from the shunt over to the bus bar. Like I said, it was just scrap laying around, so I might as well use it than cut wire and make ends. But look at the size difference in that wire and the cost of these two different types of wire. So this is one of the prime examples where you're saving money. And in these videos, anything that we can do to help save money, or if you can help support our channel, we'll have links down for most of this stuff in the description below. So some of it may not give a discount to you, but will give a little kickback to us at no additional cost to you, obviously. And then some of this stuff will be a discount to you, and we'll get a kickback as well. Just depends on the company and the brand that we're using. So I just want to let you guys know that any of this stuff, as much as we can, will be in the description below.